Good morning. Can everyone hear me okay? I hope everyone can hear me. Um, Everyone can hear me. Yes, yes. Thank you, Mary. Um, Loud and clear. That's all I need. That's all I need. How y'all doing this morning? I am John Goodwin, the executive director of the Malone Center in Lincoln, Nebraska. And I'm very excited to be on today. I would like to thank Sarah for giving me the opportunity to speak with you all today on some key issues. Um, a lot of my verbiage or how I'm going to communicate today is going to come from my experiences of my life and what has helped me and helped others in my family and around me, my surrounding community. Just a little bit about myself. I am from Chicago, one of the greatest cities of that's in the states, with the best food and the best sports town, sports in the United States. Although we don't win as much, that's where I'm. That is where I'm from. I want to be very transparent. I want you all to take notes. If you have to, feel free to ask me questions when I'm done. I'm not going to try to bore you with a real long presentation, but I would like to just talk a little bit and hopefully that you take some nuggets of what I say and apply it into your life and into your business, into your community, into your families um, to be able to prosper. So my hope today is not to offend anybody. So if you do feel that I have offended you, I apologize early. That is not my intentions, but my intentions is to share with you some things that has helped me and helped our community and continuously helping our community to be a great resource and to get things going and moving the ball down the field. Although I am a coach, so you may hear a lot of sports examples. Um, that's just how I get down. Okay, so right now I want to talk a little bit about this session is entitled "Let's Get to Work." Let's get to work. I did something over the summer where a lot of the things happened. Everyone know about George Floyd and a lot of the tension that took place over the summer. And I spoke to the community a little bit about it's time to work and what that entailed was pretty much after the march was over and after we've come together and protest. Now it's time to start getting to work on each other, working on policies and things of that nature. Today, I would like to talk about now let's get to work. Now that we know what's ahead of us and the things that we need to do, now it's time to apply these things into our lives to make some things happen and some changes happen. Um, I am a storyteller. So all of my stories, most of them, okay, some of them make sense. Uh, but they also tell the story of where I'm trying to go. So hopefully through these stories that that you get an understanding on what's being said and we just move on from there. I am not going to be long, but I do want to just share a few things with you. Um, in 2001, my son was born. I have two kids from a previous marriage, and I'm one child through the marriage I have right now. But my son was born. I was very excited, very excited about my son being born in 2001. In fact, he was the first baby to be born in the United States. We got a letter from the White House. We got all these things, and 2001, it was him. So I knew that he was going to be special. So mentioned before that I am from Chicago. So I am a big Bears fan. Although we have not had a lot of winning seasons, and let's just say we're struggling a little bit now offensively. But I am a big Chicago fan, a big Bear fan. Go Bears! That's right. So. Um, with that being said, I was very excited that my first son my first child was a boy because I'm like, okay, yes, I am about to get him. I'm about to get him so wrapped up in Chicago Bears gear is ridiculous. Now, what I did, he was born. I went and got these little. Now, this is a story. All of my stories are tied to what I'm trying to go. So hopefully, my stories wrap it up to where you'll be able to understand some of these issues that we're having right now. And although it is not complicated, I like to keep everything simple I don't like to complicate anything. And what's going on right now with racism and inclusiveness and things of that nature is fixable. And so I would like to, these stories are hopefully fits into where I'm trying to go. So my son was born. So I go to Shields, I order stuff. I go to the Chicago website, the Bears website, and I order all this bear stuff. These little bitty shoes. These shoes here were had the white Chicago Bears on them. The Chicago hat. I even got the gloves. The gloves were to where he wouldn't scratch his face. That's at least is what I see it, right? And so he was born. I showered him with Chicago Bear stuff. Showered him with Chicago Bear. A few months later, 6 months later, I'm buying him footballs. I'm buying him all kind of gear. I'm hanging up Walter Payton in his room. He don't even know. He can't even read. He don't even know if he recognized the pictures. When it became about a year or two, about 2 years, I'm buying him footballs and I'm throwing them at him. Now, he's not catching them. They're hitting him in his face. But guess what? I'm trying to get him ready to understand that the Chicago Bears is the team to go. And as he got older, I continued to give him more gear, continued to give him more, we call it swag, continued to give him hats and clothes and underwear and Chicago Bear diapers, bottles, whatever the case may be. He was getting those things. And then I taught him that, hey, you cannot like the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions and the Minnesotas and the Cowboys. You cannot like these teams. He said, why? I said, because you are a Bear fan. That's what we do. Now, and we're not going to celebrate if the other teams win. We only celebrate if the Bears win. Now, as he got older and he got into grade school, I failed. I failed in this area because I'm also a Bulls fan. And me being a Bulls fan, he turned into a Boston Celtics fan, in which I kind of failed in that area, but I'm going to take that 1 or 2. 1 out of 2 is not bad. So as he began to grow, we start going to games. We start watching games together. We start, I see them say, go Pack, go. I got you. We started bonding. We started fellowshipping. We started understanding. He started understanding how to be a fan, even though he even asked me, Dad, they're not really good. Why should I still like them? So, because you have to. You have to, because you have to. I told you to. This is what we do. The fans, we all stick together, good or bad. So in this time, in this direction, as he got older, and I'm throwing him footballs and began to train him and how I wanted him to go, or how I thought that he should go, the direction of his life. And as a parent, I guided him in that direction. I wanted and I thought that he should go and be a football player. And right now he's playing at the University of Nebraska. And ironically, it's football. So he's a college athlete. So it started when he was small, and giving him a ball and showing him who he likes and who he don't like as teams and how to get there. So how did John get there? My son is John. How did he get there? How did he get to the point he's 19 right now and still watches the Bears, still cries when they lose, still happy when they win, still now he's more able to understand the positions. So how did he get there? He got there because I introduced him to it as a parent. I gave him an experience. Not only would he never forget, but I gave him the experience that helped him become who he became, a Bears fan and a college athlete. I say that story to say this: we are who we are based on our experiences. We are who we are based on our experiences. The question that I was asked, and one of the, I would like to go over these questions was this: how do we have a meaningful discussion around racism? Now, I wrote some notes down because I don't want to just keep talking and keep talking. I want to stay on task. And if I keep talking, I will start talking about something that really don't have anything to do in this presentation. So the question that was asked to me is, how do I have a meaningful discussion around racism? I answered that question with the question because I don't look at things to be complicated. It's simple. It's just a matter of how I address and how I interpret the question. So I asked the question with the questions, why do we have meaningful discussions? Why do we have meaningful discussions? We have meaningful discussions, I think, because, and this is my own personal belief, my own hypothesis, my own opinion. So because we want them. We have meaningful discussions because we want them. We have meaningful discussions because we have a sense of what we're talking about. Think about the discussions that we have in our communities or in our families, just the discussions. And to us, they're all meaningful, right? When we're talking about sports and talking about guys and even some of the females, when we're talking about sports, we're talking about, oh man, what's wrong with the Huskers? What's wrong with the coach? Now, we may not have played the game before, or maybe we have. So now we're the best coach in the universe. So now we're looking at a team that is struggling and say, man, what is wrong with them? Why are they not doing this? Why are they not doing this? That opens up a big discussion. And to us, it's meaningful. That opens up, okay, what can we do to fix it? We have all these solutions to fix the Huskers, right? When you think about home decorating, I say that because my wife is into that, and she's on this group where there are a bunch of ladies, and they're talking about how to decorate their home, right? So those are meaningful discussions. Why? Because they know what they're talking about. They have experienced something in their life to get them more comfortable to talk about home decorating. You're not going to find me talking about home decorating too much because I know nothing about it. I can just give you just a little bit. Hey, I decorated my basement in a Chicago theme, right? I put Michael Jordan and I put Walter Payton on the wall. That's what I know. But meaningful discussions, you're not going to jump. Somebody is not going to jump into a discussion when they're talking about economics, because if you're not familiar with economics, you're not going to be more willing to go into an economic conversation. Politics, same thing. These are areas and conversations that we may have with each other that we consider meaningful. But why do we have those conversations? Why? Because we have experienced something in our life to where that made us comfortable to have these conversations and to know what we're talking about. What that does is that brings everybody's opinion together around the table, right? That brings everybody's opinion around the table to talk about something meaningful. Why? Because we have experienced it, and we know what we're talking about. So how do we have those conversations? It's the same conversation of racism. So if I'm trying to have a conversation about racism, what do I need to do? First, I need to share with you this definition of racism, because I love this definition. Again, I'm simple. I'm a simple guy, and I do everything as simple as possible and not make my life more complicated than what it may appear or may seem, right? So racism is this. Racism is the belief that groups of humans possess different behavioral traits corresponding to physical appearance. Let me say that again, because there's two words in this definition that I paid very close attention to. Racism is the belief that groups of humans possesses different behavioral traits corresponding to physical appearance. The two words that just highlighted for me was belief and behavioral. Those are key words in that definition when we're talking about racism. Why? Because you cannot have a behavior if you don't believe. And you can't believe something if you haven't experienced something. So let's back up. This is how I run my life. And this is how you can understand where I'm coming from when we're talking about how to have a conversation about racism or any other conversations, right? I look at racism, a racism conversation or talking about race conversation, the same as I talk about football and everything else. Because why? I want to have a conversation about football. I want to have a conversation about home decorating. I want to have a conversation about economics. I want to have a conversation about how to raise a family. I want to have a conversation about wealth, right? So racism is not difficult to talk about if you want to have the conversation. You have to want to have the conversation. And if you don't want to have the conversation, that's what makes a conversation difficult. So, experiences. We are who we are based on our experiences. Okay. From our experiences, we form habits of thoughts. This is how I run my life. This is how I look at my life. I run my business. I run my family. I run my when I'm coaching football, I run the teams. This is what I look at is first, in order for us to have success, because success is different for everyone, right? So it all starts with experiences. I learned this in my 40s, and I hate that I did, but I'm glad that I did. I'm 44, and I'm glad. I may look old with this beard right now, but understand I'm only 44 years old, people. Now, experiences, your experience forms the habits of thoughts that you have. So anything that you have experienced, and I told you before in the early story that I gave my son, I told you about my son, I gave him an experience. And with that experience formed a habit of thought that he had. So now that he loves the Bears, but it was based on the experience, the conversations, the clothes that I bought him, the books that I had him read. All those things there are experiences, right? Conversations, or what your mom or your dad or your auntie or your uncle told you growing up. Experiences. With that formed the habits of thought that I have, which is belief. What do I believe? I believe based on what I've read. I believe based on what I've been told. I believe based on my experiences. From experiences to habits of thoughts. From habits of thoughts is behavioral, right? So you behave the way you think. Anytime you have a behavior, everywhere, everything that you do, you act on, right? So there's a behavior there. You cannot behave unless you think first to behave the way you behave. And you cannot think first until you experience. So experience comes first, habits of thoughts come second, and your behavior is going to come from what you have already thought, of what you've been taught, and the things that's in your mind. So the discussions on racism, how do I have a meaningful discussion? That is easy to me. That is not a difficult and complicated issue. That is not a problem. I don't care what race you are, right? I have to understand based on my experience, which I've read or which I've talked to or which I've gone beyond my call of duty or out of my comfort zone to be able to talk to somebody else that don't look like me, that don't sound like me, that don't. I mean, you have to want that, but that comes through wanting to have a different experience so you can start thinking differently, behaving differently. And once you start behaving differently, you will have these outcomes. Outcomes come after behaviors. Outcomes come after behaviors. Look at the world right now. Why are we divided? Because there was somebody in their life when they were young, because as we come up, we don't know. Look, I come out the womb, I come out my mom. Guess what? I'm a baby, I'm crying. All I'm thinking about is I'm hungry, I'm cold, and I want milk. I don't know anything else. I don't know how to hate. I don't even know how to feed myself. They got to give me the nipple or they got to give me the milk. I don't know anything. I have to be taught these behaviors. I have to see these things. I have to listen to these things. And as I get older and I go to school, I have to be taught through school some things. And if you're taught those things, you start to believe these things. So let me back up and let me slow up because I want you to understand where we're going. Okay? You have your experiences, and based on your experiences, you have your habits of thoughts. So you start thinking what you have experienced, right? You start thinking that way. Come your habits of thoughts is your behaviors. We behave the way we think. And from behaviors come outcomes. This is easy. People say, oh, this is a difficult situation. This is difficult. This is how can we stop hating? And how can we start? It starts with you. It starts with you. And then we work our way towards other people. So we're going to get there. I'm moving a little bit ahead of myself. One of the questions that was asked to me is how to take the steps to be inclusive. My answer to that was, you choose to change. Well, what do you mean by that? What do you mean choose to change? Let me tell you a story. You know, I got a whole bunch of stories, but I'm gonna tell you a story. My wife and I, we were in Chicago. Now I'm from Chicago, but there are certain parts of Chicago I didn't go to because just didn't feel the need. Everything was on the south side, and everything I needed and can afford was on the south side. So I wouldn't go. If you're familiar with Chicago, they have the west suburbs, which is Oak Brook, Northbrook, Oak Brook, Schaumburg, those areas there. And so the malls are different on the west suburb than the south side of Chicago. Let me just say that, all right, a lot different. And I never went over there, but this particular time I did. We went over to uh, uh, we stayed in the area that I've never stayed before, which is real well. It's a wealthy area. I'm just going to tell you right now. And we walked into the mall, and this store, I believe it was Marcus, Neiman Marcus. And we walk in, and again, I'm talking about how to take the steps to be more inclusive, right? And so as we walked in the mall, I'll pick up a shirt. I'll pick up this shirt. I'll go right to the sales rack. I don't know about y'all, but I go right to the sales rack. I don't care if I'm at the flea market, I'm trying to find a sale. I don't care if it's a sale store, I'm trying to find a sale on the sale. That's just how I am. So I am going to the rack. I pick up the shirt. I said, oh man, this shirt here is nice. So I look at the price tag, $400 some. I said, okay, maybe they made a mistake. Maybe this shirt is in another, somebody just put this shirt here. So I keep scrolling, bam, I pick up another shirt. Man, this shirt was about the same price as the other one. I said, well, let me look at the price tag. Well, the price tag of that shirt was like $600 something. I said, $600 something for a shirt, $400 for, I said, man, this shirt better turn me into Denzel Washington when I put this shirt on, right? I'm like, this shirt is expensive, right? That's exactly what I said. So I put the thing down. I said, you know what? I am going to find my wife, and we're going to get on up out of here. So we're walking. I found my wife looking at the racks too. I said, baby, ain't no need to look at them racks. Let's go. We start walking out the store. We walked through the beauty aisle and where the makeup was, right? So this lady stopped us and said, hey, you're beautiful. Now, she wasn't talking to me. She was talking to my wife, right? And she was like, hey, try this makeup. Try this makeup. So she's putting on the makeup, putting it on her ring. She said, this is for wrinkles. Now, listen to what I just said. Only for wrinkles. My wife don't have wrinkles. She does not have wrinkles. But apparently this makeup is for wrinkles. And she put the makeup on. She said, how does it feel? My wife was like, oh, I've never felt nothing like this on my face before, ever. So I'm sitting there like, okay, cool. Okay, well, my wife was like, well, how much is it? She says, for the whole kit or just for the wrinkle stuff? Just for the wrinkle stuff. She said, well, $500 something. $500 and something just for some wrinkle stuff? I said, how much is the whole kit? I said, the whole kit better turn it into Halle Berry. She better look like Halle Berry off this whole kit. The whole kit was over about $800 for just a kit of makeup. And I said, this is not the store for us. So what did I do? We walked out of there as quickly as possible, right? Quickly, we was out of there. And I thought to myself, I said, man, that store taught me something. It taught me that if I want to live a certain way, or if I want to live a lifestyle, I have to do things different. I have to do things different because I hate walking into a store or any place and feel uncomfortable. So what do I need to do to make sure that I don't feel uncomfortable? Not them. I didn't say them. I said me. What do I need to do? How do I need to challenge myself to not feel uncomfortable? Well, I first needed to start investing some money. I first need to start looking into some property. I need to start hanging around people who are wealthy. I need to start reading different books. I need to start hanging around people with the mindset of wealth. I need to choose and gain more information and more knowledge, and I need to change and create a different experience for me to where I'm able to next time, if I ever walk into that store, not feel comfortable, but pick up something and say, I'm going to pay for this with cash. How do I get there? Well, you have to choose to be that way. You have to choose to make a difference in your life. And you have to choose to do certain things to get to a place where you don't, where you want to go. And sometimes it's difficult. We've been one way for so long, we don't want to change. But why? That's not fair to yourself, and that's not fair to nobody else that's around you if you are in a mindset of not being able to change or create different experiences for yourself. So I've made up in my mind, I am not going to be like Neiman Marcus. Who I'm going to be like? I'm going to be like Walmart, because Walmart is inclusive. Neiman Marcus is exclusive. So what am I saying is that because Neiman Marcus is just for a particular type of people, I won't say a particular type of people, a bank account. Your bank account has to say something to walk into Neiman Marcus and to buy something. Walmart, I can be wealthy, I can be rich, because there's a difference between rich and wealthy. I can be poor and I can be poor. Po and poor are two different where I come from as well. Because when you poor, you can't afford the R. And when you poor, there's a struggle there too. So that's two different things. So I can walk into Walmart and be like, you know what? Guess what? I can buy anything I want out of Walmart. Why? Because I can afford it. What Walmart wants to do, Walmart don't want to discriminate nobody. Walmart want everybody to come into their facility and shop and be able to afford, be able to be comfortable, be able to feel like they're themselves, to feel like normal people, to come out of there with an item. I don't care if it's a pack of bubble gum or some pantyhose, right? They want you to come and be and look at everything and buy it. They made it affordable for everybody to come. What am I saying? What am I saying is this: are you like Walmart or are you like Neiman Marcus? Do you just exclude yourself from people that you don't want to deal with, and just because you're comfortable of where you are, and this is who I've always been, this is who I've always been around, this is who I've always had conversations with, so I'm going to stay over here on to the left. But is it that's division, that's causing division? But why is it that we don't take the opportunity or the risk or to be able to create something different for ourselves, to jump on the right side and say, hey, how are you? What's your name? What's your story? That is not difficult to do, but you have to want to do it. And sometimes it's difficult to work out, right? It's difficult to work out. Sometimes I don't even want to go to the gym. But the hardest thing to do when you don't feel like going is going. If you get to the gym, I know that I'll be able to work out. I don't care if it's 15 or 20 minutes. Sometimes the hardest things to do in working out is just getting to the gym. One of the hardest things to do in starting and striking conversations and being more inclusive is to just do it. Get to another area. Figure out a book. Get with people that you normally don't talk to, that you normally don't be around. Hang around those people. Learn from them. Be slow to speak and quick to listen. Right? So how do we be more inclusive? Sometimes we think we're inclusive, but we show exclusive behaviors. It's not just with race. It's not just but it's with gender. Oh, he's a man or he's a woman. Age. Oh, they too old. They too young. I don't know if I want. No, they don't fit because our culture is. I want somebody younger. And that person that's younger may not be qualified, but that person that's older, right? It may be a female or a male. Oh, I want a male in this position, but that female may be the more qualified person. Oh, they too big, or they too skinny, or I'm too small. So let me work out in this gym. When I go over to Golds, or when I go over to Worlds, or when I go over to Good Life, or when I go over to Genesis, or when I go over to Prairie Life, or wherever the case may be, they too big over there. I look like JJ Evans on Good Times. I'm so skinny. I don't know. I can't be over there. No, you can be over there, because if you're trying to get to how they look, if you're trying to understand how to get there, that's where you want to be. You cannot. If I want to be wealthy, I cannot hang around poor-minded people, because I won't learn how to be wealthy. I have to take a different experience. That means that I have to get out of my comfort zone. Yes, I've been raised by these certain people. Or yes, I've been brought up to hang around these people. Or yes, I'm more comfortable because this is my environment. But in order for me to grow and in order for me to change, I have to get out of that environment and come over to the other side to create a different experience for myself, to where I'm able to now think differently and behave differently. It starts with the experience. So truth is, we see color. When people say, oh yes, I don't see color. Oh yeah, you do. You see color. I see color, you see color. It shouldn't matter though. And how we think of each other is based on the experience that we have had in our lives. When I was in Chicago, I moved here in 96. And the reason why I moved from Chicago to Nebraska in 96 is because I wanted to stay alive. I got tired of drive-by shootings. I got tired of my friends dying by gunfire. So I moved here in 96. And when I moved here in 96, understanding Chicago, I didn't trust police officers. I tell this story all the time. I didn't trust police officers at all. I don't care if they were white, Hispanic, black. I didn't trust neither one of them, because the ones that I knew, right, in our hood did some things that just wasn't right. And so it wasn't ethical. So I didn't trust them. I moved here in 96. I started martial arts. My uncle owned a martial arts center, Shorei Showakan, and I started doing judo in 97. I tell this story all the time. And one of my senseis, white, got 300 pounds. I mean, he got to be about 280, 300, but he was so smooth with his feet. So I start the class. He teaches me almost everything that he knows. You know, your sensei don't teach you everything. He was very patient with me. We went out to eat together. We bonded. We formed a friendship for over a year and maybe 5 months. Neither one of us knew what we did, right? So I am in the locker room, and normally sensei, he gets ready first and he's already on the mat. All right. I come in after work, I put my gi on and I go. But this particular time I got off work early. I came in and started getting dressed while he was getting dressed. And so as I'm putting on my gi, he says, John, what do you do? And at the time I was working for the school system, Lincoln Public Schools, and I was telling him what I did. And I said, because we never had the conversation. We was just, bonded real well. Then I asked him, I said, what do you do? He said, oh, John, I'm a captain on the police. First he says, I work for the city. And I said, okay, well, what part? Like, what do you do? What department? He said, the police department. Now, I'm gonna tell you this. If you ever watch Scooby-Doo, I made the Scooby-Doo sound. I said, oh, Shaggy? That's that Scooby-Doo noise, right? So I was like, oh, what? I must didn't hear you right. What did you say you did? He said, I'm a captain on the police force. From there, I said, and I'm sitting there like, I've never had an experience to where not only was a police officer nice to me, so I realized that a job is different from the person, right? He had character. All police, I learned from that day forward that all police was not bad based on the experience that I've had with him. I didn't like police or I didn't trust police because my experience with them was not right. That wasn't a great experience. So I formed a thought and I started behaving in a way that I don't even want to fool with them. Now that I have a sensei who has trained me for over a year and I've got to know him as a person and we've eaten together and we broke bread, we've done all these things together. Now I realize and I've created a different experiences and I didn't even know. So that changed my experiences on police officers. A few years later, I married one. Now, if I would, you think I would have married a police officer if he wouldn't have changed my experiences? I'm gonna say yeah, because she fine. Wife is gorgeous, so I would have looked past that and asked her to marry me anyway. So let me just not I'm gonna act like I'm not going. But think about how that incident right there changed my whole experience on police officers. They are not all bad. They are not. They're awesome. There are some that are some very good people and some big hearts and some genuine hearts to where that we are able to work together. That experience changed everything for me. I was asked, how do we start making progress in ensuring equality? Let's understand what equality is. I like this definition. This definition is me. It's me because it's simple, it's to the point. Equality is about ensuring that every individual has an equal opportunity to make the most of their lives and talent. Equality is about ensuring that every individual, not some individuals, not a few individuals, not white, not black, not skinny, not big, not muscular, not with beards, not with dreads, not bald head, but every individual has an equal opportunity to make the most of their lives and talents. We have to work on ourselves first to get there. People say, how can we do it? How can we do it? How can we do this? How can we be more inclusive? How can we have more equality? How can we, if you want to treat somebody, okay, I get it. Yeah, how can we do it? Let's first look at ourselves. Are we first ready for equality? Are we first ready for inclusiveness? Are we first ready for these meaningful discussions? We have to look at ourselves first. If everyone take an examination of themselves, right? And to understand, okay, I got some issues of I do show some behaviors of being exclusive. Let me fix that. I do show sometimes that, and the reason why I'm the way I am is because of the experience that I had. You have to ask yourself the question, am I ready? Am I ready? Right? Am I ready? Let me just say this. Let me leave a thought with you. We don't change what we tolerate. As people, we do not change what we tolerate. Are we ready for equality? Are we willing to create a different experience so we can learn from each other's race, from each other's cultures, from our families? Are we willing to do that? You have to ask yourself that question. I can't answer that for you. No one else can answer that question for you. You have to ask yourself that question. Are you ready for equality? And if you are, what are the steps that I can take? Let me take an examination of me. What have I learned over the years that has kept me from going to other races or going to other genders, or what has kept me from being uncomfortable of talking to someone and having an open dialogue about anything? How can I get out of my comfort zone? How can I get out of this box? Because sometimes we get in a box. Even when you walk into a high school and walk into even a football teams where I coach, I got the black kids hanging out over here. I got the white kids hanging out over here. Why? And then that's when we first start. When we start playing together, when we start practicing together, when they start running those suicides together, when they start doing those up downs together, guess what happens? They start hanging around each other. Why? Because they are experiencing something together, and they know that they need each other to push each other to get to the final goal. So this conference is the first steps of receiving the tools and starting those meaningful conversations. Those meaningful conversations. This conference here is the first steps of becoming more inclusive. This conference that we're having this week is giving you the steps and the tools to ensure to help ensure equality. How can I get there? Now that we have the playbook, now that we have these tools, now that we have all the sessions that we're going through and all the information that we're getting through this, how do I use it? What are we now going to do with the tools that we've had this week? We have to get to work. Either you're going to get to work with the information, or this whole week has been a waste for you and I. This week is giving us the information and the tools to move the ball down the field. I'm a coach. Now that we have the plays, now that we have, what are we going to do? It's now time to execute what we have learned this week. Now it's time to execute and create different experiences for ourselves to get better and more successful outcomes. We want to see racism stop. If we really did, we would evaluate ourselves to make sure that we're good. And if we all do that, racism won't have no place. We want to be more inclusive. Evaluate yourself. And if you talk to somebody, when you ask someone for advice and you get that advice, be open to it. Don't go in with a closed mind and think you have all the answers. No, be open to the advice. Some of the stuff that you may hear may be tough to swallow. Why is it tough to swallow? Because all these years I've been a certain way. Now you telling me that I'm wrong and I should be something else. Take it. Evaluate it. Evaluate the information that you're getting. Evaluate the information of yourself. Always ask the question, why? Why do I think this way? Why do I act this way? Why am I this way? You have to ask yourself the why, because it's the why that will help you create a different experience and to start thinking differently and behaving differently. And we have the outcomes that we're looking for, but you have to be willing to change. You have to be willing to change. I have to be willing to not eat fried foods if I'm trying to lose weight. Right? I have to, if I want to be cut and buff, I have to do some things that I don't want to do. And sometimes it's hard to do something that you know you should, because you're so comfortable in eating the ice cream and so comfortable in drinking a pack of a beer, or you're so comfortable in that. But we have to make up in our mind that we have to do something different to get a different result. So I'll leave you with this. I conclude with this. I'm not long. Hopefully I'm not long, and hopefully y'all get something from it. But I conclude with a quote from James Baldwin. He said this. He says, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced." Think about your life. Think about who has taught you through your life and as a kid, and think about those things. Not everything that is faced can be changed. Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced. So I hope today that you take what you learn for the course of this week. I hope that I have said something that will ignite you to want to create something different, so you can start thinking differently and behaving differently and have more of those outcomes that we all talk about that we want. right? I hope I leave you with some type of encouragement or some type of drive to say, I need to do something different. Because if we are looking to end racism, if we're looking to be more inclusive, if we're looking for more equality, we have to take an examination of ourselves to be able to change what we've once used to think, and the things that we and the behaviors that we had, and create a different experience for ourselves so we can have those different outcomes and be more successful in moving forward in our lives and in our community. So thank you. Thank you for this time. And I do open it up for questions. I hope I helped. um, any questions for me? Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I am humbled and honored to do this. It's time to work. Let's get it. It's time to work. Thank you. Thank you. I hope I didn't go over. Oh, 40 minutes. Oh, I did good. Thank you so much. Connie, Mary, thank you all. Do you have any racial discussion groups at the Malone Center? We do. We do have discussions at the Malone Center. And one of the discussions that we have is before we even talk about racial discussions, we talk about where we come from and the experiences that we have. I think once people understand our experiences, because when we come around the table, there are different experiences that sit around the table, and so our goal is to understand what their experiences, what have they experienced, because I like to know what um, I like to know who you are. I like to know why you think the way you think. And I necessarily, we don't walk around and say, hey, you're wrong and you're wrong, because we're all right based on the experiences that we had in our life. And so what I try to do is open it up to have a discussion. Um, and we have a therapist as well at the Malone Center, to where we're talking about issues, and we are getting ready to start a men, I know the women are already meeting, but a men group as well, with fathers and in the community, to where we're talking about issues, to where we're able to um, get more questions answered and feel really good about ourselves moving forward with those conversations. So again, we have the conversations, and more than likely we talk more about our experiences to be able to understand each other, because in all that get an understanding. And if I don't know where you come from and you don't know where I come from, it's hard to know where we're going. So all of our histories are different, and but what we do is we share our history, and we come with a solution based on our histories, and hopefully the outcomes be more of a successful outcome than we've had in the past. Bear down, Danielle. That's right. Bear down. I love it. I should have worn my hat. Tell me more about the Malone Center. Malone Center is a child care facility, been around for 65 years. And I can send you, I do have my email on the, I think on the presentation, but I can send you everything of what we do. You can go to the Malone Center, maloncenter.org, to find out the information that we do, but that we are doing right now. But we are focusing on youth, and then our families in the community. So we have a preschool. We partnership with the University of Nebraska. We have an out of school program where we pick up from 12 different schools and bring to our facility and go over programming and STEM and things of that nature, feed them a snack, and then we drive them home. So we're about the only facility and program, childcare center, that does that in Lincoln. I don't know about Omaha, but in Lincoln. So we serve them that way. We also have high school leadership, boys, young men, young women, um, leadership classes. We partnership with the police department with Take Pause and Take Pause 2.0, where Ishma and Stanford is doing a wonderful job with that. We also have breastfeeding initiative. We have a maternal wealth um, portion of what we do, where they're talking, educating our women and our men on the importance of breastfeeding the babies, African American babies. And so it's a variety of programs. We're educating on diabetes and high blood pressure and obesity. We are with the police department with Hold Cops Accountable, which is going great with the subcommittees and the trace. It's just a lot of things that we have going on that I don't have the time to really share. But if you go onto our website, or if you send me an email, I will give you an presentation of what all that we do from our directors. We did pass. You know what, Dan? Dan, I am really bothered by that. And you had to bring that up to me. Yeah, we did pass on McCombs, and in fact, I was able to hold the ring, the Chiefs ring. I have a really good. I call him my big brother, but he works for the Hunt family, and he was able to. When I went down to Dallas to help my stepdaughter move down there, he wore the ring and met us at the hotel, and the ring was huge. And great experience. Chiefs got a great organization. I just wish the Bears could pick up the slack. I get depressed at times. Danielle, that's your email address. Let me just take a picture of that, because I will send you that information, Danielle, if you're looking for that information. And anybody else who needs that information, I will send that to you as well. Any steps that we interested as well, I can send that information. Um, Andrea Evans. Okay. Yes, there are steps that you can take. Again, what we do, again, I won't say that I have a doctrine in how we can do this, but what we're doing is working. And one of it is open conversation, conversing with each other. One, I can share, we have some things that I can share with you as well, that or talk to you offline, that will be able to help in regards of that as well. Um, I do coach. I did 17 years over at over at Lincoln High. And I did 2 years. I still coach. So I run a center and I still coach high school football. I am over at Lincoln North Star now, and I coach their freshmen and help out with their varsity. I love staying around the kids. I love staying around high school kids. I love trying to give a positive influence to them and imparting everything that I know, as far as with football and giving it to them, and even life. And so I enjoy it. I enjoy it. Football is like therapy to me. Although it gets me tired, football is like therapy to me. So I appreciate that. That's where I'm at. Go North, go Gators. Yes, yes. Well, in fact, I just met someone last week that came in and did um, a restorative presentation at the Malone Center, and so he's up in Omaha right now. So I can connect you with him if you want, Miss Evans. Yes, thank you, Sarah. Oh, you have it? Okay, thanks, Anna. Okay, just making sure you have it. I met him last week. He came down with Yahansi Christie had brought him down with a few officers and some people in there, and we did a thing there in the Malone gym. And I had a chance to talk with him, and he has some really great ideas. And we're going to partnership with some people. So, Ms. Evans, I would love to talk to you, or you can send me an email as well, and maybe we can collaborate and do some things with that. Yes. Yes. Heather, okay, I got it. I will get your email and be able to share as well. Right. That shirt, I'm telling you. Now, if it would have said, hey, you would look like and have the wealth of Denzel, I'm putting on all the shirts, the pants, the shoes, the socks. But $600 for a shirt, I I just couldn't swing it. I don't know. Thank you, Mindy. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, Dan. I will get your information as well. Um, That will be awesome. Okay, Mary. Got it. Got it. I am loving the comments. I am very humbled by your comments. Again, this is the experience of who I am, and this is just who I am, and this is how we go about trying to make a difference. I don't complicate anything. I simplify, um, and it's fixable. What's going on right now is fixable. We just going to have to want to fix it. Okay, Sarah, I will get that information to you, and Mary, I sure will. Any other questions for me? Again, you can my email is john.goodwin at malonecenter.org. John, John dot Goodwin, Goodwin at malonecenter.org. Our website is maloneCenter.org, org, Malone Center. You can check us out there. And if you want a presentation, just let me know if you want a presentation of what we do. And I will give you from our CLC program at Color Middle School all the way through to our preschool, out of school program, um, mental health programs. I will have all that information for you. Jenny, thank you so much. Jenny has put up with me since I've taken this position, so I know she has patience. So Jenny, thank you so, thank you so much. Again, you're gonna get people who will go against any system. You just going to do it. And for those people who swear that it does not need to be fixed, are those people that we need to work on. And again, and those are the people that are not open um, to really look within themselves to see that, hey, is there another way? Um, and so that's really what we're up against. So this is why I encourage people to um, work on themselves and take a self examination and to figure out why they are the way they are. Um, but again, when you're closed minded, we're not going to be able to save everybody. One of the hardest things to do in life is change history. That's one of the hardest things to do, is to change history. And some people just don't want to change. But then you have some that's on the fence and they're just followers, right? So again, the more that we converse with each other, the more that we talk to each other and have open dialogue other than sports, um, will benefit us to educate ourselves to move forward. And when we're not willing to have those conversations or willing to sit down or to share, then that's what makes it difficult. And we can't save everybody, but if the more that we continue to change and create those different experiences for people, then we can strive to get to where we're going. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect. This stuff here is not perfect, but you have to know your why and keep moving forward. Don't let them bring your why down. Okay, Miss Jackson, good one. Miss Jackson Goodwin is my wife. She's so beautiful. Uh, I cannot wait until COVID slow down. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you. I would love for that. Uh, I would love for that gym to open up. In fact, we need to open up one next to the Malone Center. See if we can figure that out. So true, Teresa. So true. I totally agree with you. Is there any other questions? It is 11 o'clock and I do not want to hold you all. Again, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for being able to, Sarah, being able to share with you all. And again, I hope I left you all a few nuggets or something to take with you all to get to work. So let's get to work. Thank you so much. And I think I'm supposed to just clock off this thing, right? I have no idea what I'm doing.